Good afternoon, everybody. Again, I am sorry about some of the tech issues. As I was saying before, the screen sharing was grayed out on my last video and was not available. I'm just going to take a second and I'm going to share my link to this new video to all the places where I have shared access to this video and get some audience back in here. Once again, I am going to be going over the 2024 notice to protest the property value taxes for Denton County. This is going to be a similar form for other surrounding counties, so if you're in Rockwall County, Tarrant, Dallas, Collin, feel free to watch still. You're going to be able to take this and apply it to the form for that county. And if you've received this form, you should get it with your 2024 property value notice from the county. Those are going to be mailing out. If you haven't gotten yours yet, they're also mailing out in May and June, but the first round would have been going out in the April time period. Um, so I've got here my screen is sharing. This is what the form looks like for the protest form. Again, this would be attached to your notice. In the one that's attached to your notice is pre-filled out. So it's got some of your property information already on it. This one's just a blank download that I pulled for the video. If you want to file this online, you can hit File Online. Here is the link, and you would go in and you would put in your information. If you haven't made an account, you'd go in and sign up, and you'll need some data from your notice in order to sign up and register on this account. So the information can be found here: your property ID, your e-file pin. This one is X'd out because it's an online download. If you have your notice in front of you, this is where it would be found. And again, this is going to have a number here instead of all this X'd out details. And all that you're just going to take, you're going to put into this register your account and then continue. And it's going to have you fill out more property details and information about you before it takes you to the form. Now, what it's going to take you to is going to look just like this form. It's just going to be broken out into pages. So you'll have a section 1 and 2, a section 3 where you select your reason, 4 is the facts, your hearing. So this is all the same information as you find online. It's just the online version is broken out. So you will be able to follow along with this in either way, be able to see the same information. So jumping into this form, again, a lot of this information to fill out is the same. You'll need it from your notice. You'll be putting in your account number for the appraisal district, which is going to be your, I believe that's going to be your property ID on here. Let me see the one that they filled out for me. Yeah, so that appraisal district account number is going to be your property's property ID. Again, it's on your notice. You can also find this on the county appraisal district website under your property. Then you just fill out the name of the owner. You want to have all the owners on here if there's multiple, and it's best to fill this out with the same spelling and names as is on the appraisal district site. That's the legal names that were signed with the purchase of the property. So that is what the county's going to have on file. If you put anything else here, I'm not saying it won't get accepted, but it might cause some confusion. So I would just, stick to the full names of the owners as they appear on the appraisal site and on your home paperwork. The address, phone number, that's all self-explanatory. As for the physical address, so this would be if you live somewhere different from where the property is. So if you've owned rental properties, commercial properties, and or if you own your children's house, or your mother's house, this would be where you'd put that information. Otherwise, you would just leave this blank if it's not different from up here. So getting into the reasons for protest, this is pretty much what this form's about. Is you're telling them your value that they gave you is wrong, and you have a different value. So when you are looking for the value they assigned, again, that's going to be on the notice that they sent. And I'm going to see if I can zoom this in for you. There we go. So as you can see, there's a couple of different numbers on here. They're sending out a market value of the improvements. They're sending out a market value of the land. They're adding that up, and then they're given an appraised value. You've got what the value was last year. You've got what the value is proposed for this year, and this is proposed because it's not set yet. This is what the protest is about. Going in, if that changes, this number is not set in stone. So as you can see, on this appraisal notice, you can notice that the market value that they have is going down. However, the appraised value, which is what the taxes are based off of, is going up. Now, the reason for this is because the owner on this property has a homestead exemption in place, designated here with the HS. And what is occurring is the homestead exemption keeps your property's appraised value from increasing more than 10% year over year. So what that means is that when this property value's market value was at 280, this appraised value could not increase to that $280, or I'm sorry, they put the market value here at 351. The appraised value could not increase to that 351, so it increased as much as it could to 253. This year, with that appraised value going down to 321, it's even though that's going down, it's still higher than this, so this is still going to increase. So the appraised value goes to 278. So this is where you find this information. Now what's occurring is, on your protest, you have to choose a reason you think these numbers are wrong. And there's a couple of different reasons here. The main one that we're going to be talking about today is that the incorrect appraised market value and/or the value is unequal to comparables with the other properties. So this is what I have been running for, persons that have been reaching out to me, is to look up and assess the market value. This is obtained the same way that we assess a market value for a property that we're helping somebody list, or if we're helping somebody buy. We're going to do what's called a comparative market analysis, and this is how we come up with a value. So again, that's going to be the main one we're talking about, and I'll get to that as we go. A couple other reasons would be that the property should not be taxed in the taxing unit. That is, so on this form, there's 3 taxing units: the town of Crossroads, Denton County, and Denton ISD. If for any reason one of those was not a location that this property should be taxed in, that is what you would fill out on this protest form. Is you would fill out that the value or the property shouldn't be taxed there. The next one here is that it's not located in the appraisal district and shouldn't be included in the appraisal district record. Again, that's pretty similar. This would be a very rare scenario, but if Denton County sent you a taxing notice for your property and your property was located in Collin County, this would be your protest, check that they should not be the location sending this to you. Failure to send required notice. If your exemption was denied, modified, or canceled, this would be where you'd protest and say that you're protesting that your exemption was denied and not included here, or that your protest or that your exemption shouldn't have been canceled. Temporary disaster damage. Um, Putting on that your agriculture use was either denied or canceled or modified. The use of the land changed, so it was changed to appraise as a different kind of use, and you're protesting the value change. The names are incorrect, so these are just property descriptions incorrect. These are just administrative things that they just need to be corrected on it. Incoming damage assessment is so this would be where, or an incorrect damage assessment, this would be where you think that the value should be lower because you have a qualified temporary disaster exemption on your property, but the damage for it is wrong. Um, so that's I mean, all of these forms you can go read them. Other is where you would put if you have a reason that doesn't fit uh, all of these above. I've heard of some people going in and putting that they that they wanted the value to be shown lower because of crime statistics, anything like that. I have not seen much success there, and if it was really something, crime rates, or anything on the construction going around, anything that would change the value of the property as a whole and for all properties around, if that was something that was occurring, then we would see that in the sales prices of other properties around. For instance, if you have a 3-bedroom house in a neighborhood and you say that your market value for your home is affected because of lots of construction, increased drive times, you know, that you could have an argument, but if 4 3-bedroom houses sold in the past few months and they all sold at this one price point or in this range, then that's people live buying these properties despite the construction, despite the crime rates, despite anything that could affect the neighborhood's values. So I personally do not believe in putting construction or crime rates on here because, again, that's all going to be something that shows up in the sales prices of houses. If people are still buying the houses at that price point despite those things occurring, then it's not affecting the market value. Excuse me. Now, something that you could put in this spot that I think would help is, say the sewer line, consistently backs up by your house, and for 300 feet from the sewer access points, there's a terrible smell, and it's to the point unbearable. If you were to have someone come look at the house, they would immediately walk away. Anything that would affect your property and not the community as a whole. Anything that would affect your property that wouldn't be reflected in other property sales prices. That was what I'd see putting here as other, and you may have some more success with. Properties with a stigma, for instance. If for whatever reason, the city or the town, all the people believe that your home's haunted, or there was a grisly murders that happened in your home years ago. Those are things that, if a buyer learned about, or, and should be disclosed to them if it, deals with the value of the home, then this is something that would affect your home's value and not others. So comparing your property to others that sold may not be the best way to get that value, and should be something that the county should take into consideration. So now that we've selected our reason for the protest, again, we're going to be handling incorrect appraised market value. So that's what we're going to be going off of. We're going to go down to the opinion or the additional facts. It's going to ask you what your opinion of the property's value is. Now, this is where you've got to have a little bit of homework involved. So this is where I've been helping a lot of my contacts. They've reached out to me, and I've helped put a comparative market analysis together for them. And what this is we're going to go look at the properties that have sold in the area, and we're going to put a kind of look at them and compare your property to their properties. Any agent can pull this for you. So you can reach out to any agents in your area, any that you're comfortable with, and ask them to help you with a value for your tax protest. And so we're going to pull properties similar to yours and see where they sold for. In this case, we're looking at properties that sold in 2023. Now, uh, your agent's going to be the best one to do this. They're going to know how to do this, but they should be looking at only 2023. You want them to look at all properties that sold in 2023, and when you're comparing properties to yours, the biggest factors that need to be kept is the bedroom comp, the bathroom comp, so the room comp, and in the square footage. If enough properties exist that are exactly the same bedroom and bathroom comp as yours, and within 100 to 200 square feet bigger or smaller than your property, they should stop there. There's no reason to pull comparables to four bedrooms, properties that are 400 or 500 square feet smaller or bigger than yours. It's just going to throw off the data. And there's no reason, if there's a sufficient amount of properties that have sold. In this case, I'm in a neighborhood where there are a builder that had plans, and there is sufficient data for these properties. So this is what I will be pulling off of when I show you what some of this looks like. Um, so this is a program that we use at Century 21 Judge Fight. This is what it produces. It's a program called Moxie Present, and I like it because it's a little bit more client-facing, customer-facing system. It produces a product that is more presentable and very viewer-friendly of the information versus programs that your agent would use internally to get information that don't always they're not always easy to read and can have information pretty much all over the place. Um, so what I've pulled here, this is a list of similar properties here. I can see what they sold for. I can see their comps. I can see how long it took for them to sell, and I can see the average cost per square foot. And once we compile all this data, I get a nice screen that looks like this. And this is going to be, it's averaging out all of those sold properties. It's helping change the cost per square foot here, and really helping to see a range. Now I put on here a range of 390 to 395 for this property in question. It's kind of the average size of all the comps that I pulled. I don't think that it's going to see too much of an increase or decrease in property value because of, you know, being, if it was on the smaller side of the properties that sold, what we would typically see through a principle of progression is its value will become higher to match or come closer to the slightly larger properties that sold. And vice versa, if every home that sold was 2,300 square foot and yours was 2,500 square foot, it's not fair to say that yours is just the value of your cost per square foot. it's going to see some decrease to come down to where those smaller properties sold. So it goes both ways. But that's, so we've got a value here, 390 to 395 that I put on this property. We're going to come back to this form. You as as the homeowner filling this out, you would put the price on here. So 390 is what we have is the lowest here. I'd put 390 on this form, and as your facts, you can put that you had a comparative market analysis run by an agent that shows that your property is not valued as high as they put it. And just to point out for anybody saying, well, this value I put is higher than the one on the notice value here is not the same property um, as the values I pulled here. So that's a little bit of reason for the mismatch. The property in question on the analysis that I just run, the market value that was provided by the county was $430,000. So that's going to be a difference of $30,000 if they get it down, or 40,000 if they get it down to 390. So provide on there your agent ran information or pulled data for you, and your value that they came up with is not what the county came up with. Um, Once you have that, you're going to select how you want to have a hearing. You can select an informal conference before the protest hearing. I would recommend this. This is typically you show up in person to the appraisal district office. You're speaking informally with a contact at the appraisal district office, and just discussing it. A lot of times, I've seen them change the value on the spot without having to go to the hearing. So, that can be very beneficial to you. Being nice goes a long way. Show up, be nice, be courteous. Um, Nobody at that office, you know, loves to charge and make people pay lots of taxes. They're in most regards, if your value's off, it's because a county appraiser is doing a lot of work in a shorter time period than they would like to, and it's just there's a chance for errors to happen. So nobody's valuing your property higher on purpose just because they like charging you taxes. These are people just like you and me that work in this office that are appraising these properties, and they're just doing the best they can with what they've got. So being nice goes a long way. Go in, be kind, be courteous. Bring up the data that we've pulled, and ask them, nicely, is there a way we can get this to where we need it to be? And like I said, if you've got sufficient data to show, if you're going in with some information and not just walking in and saying, hey, I don't like that it's too high, please lower this. There's a good chance you're going to walk out with a favorable outcome. Um, so as for if it gets to a hearing, you can select if you want a panel or a single member. This is really up to you. If the data is, very clear that it's gonna, that it should be lowered, probably put a single member. If you want a panel because you're trying to, hope that 2 out of 3 will agree with you, then you can put a panel. But a single member generally is going to be sufficient. Um, so then you can select on here if you want to do it in person, by telephone, by a video conference, or a written affidavit, which is just you filling out the form and delivering to them before the hearing begins with your evidence. If you're doing a telephone, video conference, or a written affidavit, you're going to want to provide your evidence for the protest up front. If you're doing it in person, they ask that you bring the evidence with you. Um, and then Section 6, you're marking how you want the notice of the hearing to be delivered. You're marking if you want electronic reminders. So this is all personal preference on how you want to receive it. First class mail and certified mail, the big difference is certified is going to require a signature, so you have to be home to receive it, and they have a proof that you received it. So otherwise, they'll just put this in the mailbox. Excuse me. Finally, there is a Section 7 here for a special panel request for properties valued over 57 million or more. This is really going to be commercial properties. If you're watching my stream and you have a property of that value, you probably already have somebody assigned to protest your property's value. If that's the case, so I won't stick too much on this. But again, if you do have a property valued 57 or more, you need to fill out Section 7 here. Finally, you would sign it. You'd state who you are if you're an agent doing this for somebody else, or if you're the property owner, and then you send this in. There's information on here on how to send that in. So um, your next steps after you've submitted this form to the county is they will schedule a hearing date. They'll let you know about the hearing date, and you'll receive that notice. And just go to your hearing, give all the information that you have. Um, you know they're pretty low stress hearings generally, and if you've done the right homework to have a value measured here, you're most likely going to come out with a change to your property value to match that. Now, I did hear last year in some instances if a property value, if the market value would not be lowered enough to affect the taxable value, in some cases they were just at the informal meeting just saying no. I mean, you wouldn't really be successful with a protest, but if there's not too much going on, they might still adjust the market value. Your next year's market value will not be based off of the market value applied this year. So whatever they put in that market value spot is dictated by sold properties, and if they don't change that this year and next year the property values go down or up, it's because of sales going up or down, not because they're increasing off of your property value um, from the previous year. Now, your appraised value, if your appraised value is lower than your property's market value, even if the market value goes down, if that appraised value is lower, remember, that can only increase 10% year over year if you have a homestead exemption. So if your market value went down and your appraised value still went up, it's because that's what's happening is your value's being held lower. But other than that, that is my stream. If you have any questions after this, feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you have, any comments. If you like the stream, please feel free to follow me for future ones. I do apologize again for the tech issues and having to restart under a different stream. Um, Again, just wanted to make sure I could share the screen because that was important. But hopefully you got some information out of this. Hopefully you're feeling confident and ready to go fill out your protest form and get your market value corrected. Thank you.